Imagine waking up tomorrow with exactly the same amount of money in your bank account. The same salary, the same savings, the same paycheck, nothing was stolen. Nobody hacked your account. Nobody robbed your house. And yet somehow you're poorer than you were yesterday. Sounds impossible, right? But that's exactly what inflation does. It quietly reduces the purchasing power of every dollar you earn, save, and invest. Most people think inflation simply means higher prices. But inflation is much more dangerous than that. It's a hidden transfer of wealth that happens so slowly, most people never notice until it's too late. And for millions already struggling with debt, inflation doesn't just make life more expensive, it can trap them in a financial cycle that feels impossible to escape. Tonight, we're uncovering the silent theft happening inside every economy, every paycheck, and every household budget. More importantly, we'll reveal why some people get richer during inflation, while others fall deeper into debt. Most people believe they're doing fine financially as long as their salary keeps increasing. A 3% raise feels like progress. A bigger paycheck feels like success. But inflation changes the equation. Imagine receiving a 5% raise while the cost of housing, food, healthcare, insurance, and transportation rises by 7%. Technically, you're earning more money. Realistically, you're falling behind. This is the illusion that traps millions of households every year. Inflation doesn't arrive like a financial disaster. It arrives disguised as normal life. Groceries become slightly more expensive. Rent creeps higher. Utility bills increase. Insurance premiums rise. At first, these changes seem manageable. Then one day, families realize their savings aren't growing. Their credit card balances are increasing, and their financial goals feel further away than ever. Governments often describe inflation as a necessary part of economic growth. Central banks target it. Financial institutions expect it. But for ordinary workers, inflation acts like an invisible tax. Every dollar saved today buys less tomorrow. Every year of delayed investing becomes more costly. And for those carrying debt, inflation creates a dangerous psychological trap. People begin borrowing not because they want luxury, but because they need help maintaining the lifestyle they once afforded comfortably. That's when inflation stops being an economic concept and starts becoming a personal crisis. Here's the cruel irony. Inflation hurts savers, but it can initially make borrowing feel attractive. When prices are rising rapidly, consumers often justify debt by telling themselves they'll pay it off later with future income. A new car, a larger home, another credit card. Monthly payments seem manageable in the moment, but inflation rarely affects all parts of life equally. Interest rates eventually rise. Credit becomes more expensive. Lenders demand higher returns. Suddenly, the debt that once felt affordable becomes a burden. This is how millions become trapped inside what economists call a debt spiral. More income goes toward servicing debt. Less income goes toward building wealth. Emergencies require more borrowing. The cycle repeats. Meanwhile, inflation quietly keeps reducing purchasing power in the background. The result is a financial treadmill where people work harder, earn more money, yet struggle to move forward. Wealthy investors often protect themselves through assets such as businesses. Real estate, and investments that may appreciate over time. But average households relying entirely on wages face a different reality. They absorb the rising costs while watching their savings lose value. This isn't merely bad luck. It's the predictable outcome of a system where inflation and debt reinforce one another. And unless someone understands the rules, escaping becomes increasingly difficult. The good news is that escaping debt doesn't require winning the lottery or discovering a secret investment strategy. It starts with understanding where your money is leaking. The first step is ruthless awareness. Track every expense. Most households underestimate how much money disappears through subscriptions. Impulse purchases, convenient spending, and lifestyle inflation. The second step is creating an emergency buffer. Even a small emergency fund can prevent future borrowing when unexpected expenses appear. The third step is attacking high-interest debt aggressively. Credit card balances are often the biggest wealth destroyers because their interest rates frequently exceed the returns most people earn elsewhere. The fourth step is increasing income intentionally. This could mean learning new skills, negotiating better compensation, freelancing, building a small business, or creating additional income streams. Finally, the fifth step is investing consistently once debt becomes manageable. Inflation punishes idle cash over long periods. Investments, despite their risks, provide opportunities to outpace rising prices. Notice something important here. None of these steps promise instant wealth. They focus on regaining control. Because escaping debt isn't about becoming rich overnight. It's about ending the cycle where every financial setback requires more borrowing. Most people search for shortcuts. Financial freedom usually comes from systems, habits, and discipline repeated over years. The sooner that process begins, the less power inflation has over your future. If inflation hurts so many people, why do some individuals seem to get richer during inflationary periods? The answer lies in ownership. During inflation, assets often rise faster than wages. Real estate may appreciate. Businesses can raise prices. Stocks may reflect higher nominal earnings. Meanwhile, workers relying solely on paychecks often struggle to keep pace. This creates a widening gap between asset owners and wage earners. The longer inflation persists, the larger that gap can become. Understanding this dynamic changes everything. Financial freedom isn't simply about earning more money. It's about gradually converting income into productive assets that can grow over time. That's why the journey out of debt matters so much. Debt keeps people focused on survival. Ownership creates opportunities for growth. Every dollar spent on interest is a dollar that can't be invested. Every month trapped by debt delays the process of building wealth. Inflation may be unavoidable, but remaining vulnerable to it isn't. The households that survive inflation best aren't necessarily the ones with the highest incomes. They're often the ones with the strongest financial habits, the lowest consumer debt, and the greatest ownership of productive assets. In the end, inflation exposes financial weaknesses that already existed. It rewards preparation and punishes complacency. And that's why understanding inflation may be one of the most important financial skills of the modern era. But what if inflation isn't the real problem? What if inflation is merely the symptom of something much larger happening beneath the surface of the global economy? Because behind every inflation spike, every debt crisis, and every financial bubble lies a powerful force that most people never think about. A force capable of creating trillions of dollars with a few keystrokes. A force that influences interest rates, markets, mortgages, jobs, and even the value of your savings. And once you understand how that machine works, you'll never look at money the same way again. Asterisk. Next episode, Money Printer. How central banks create wealth out of thin air. Asterisk. If money can be created endlessly, why isn't everyone rich? And who benefits first when new money enters the system?